Hello. The sun is setting, so I put it on widescreen and backed it out just in case you get to see any pretty rainbows on the wall. Maybe, maybe not. They were there earlier. Um, what have I got to say? I don't know. I'm looking. The watch and observe is a faithful friend for all of us if we'll get used to it. And I'm looking and feeling inside, and there's something heavy or difficult or uncomfortable in my feeling tone. And I don't know why. Nothing has happened in my life that I'm aware of to account for this, and I'm looking at it. That's uncommon for me because most of the time I'm in joy. Now, that joy underlies, but there's still this feeling. And I wonder, I'm reading a book right now, um, and it's been a long while since I've done any reading, but I'm on the second book in a row, and the one I'm reading right now is called Before We Leave You, Messages from the Great Whale and Dolphin Beings. And it's a channeled book by my favorite channel, Patricia Corey. And in it, she lets the whales and dolphins tell the story themselves. Did you know that these beings, the cetaceans, can ascend? That there are also ascended ones? Uh, Nothing surprises me anymore, honestly. It's just a form. We incarnate into different forms. And so I don't have a problem with it. Now, I'm not asking anyone to have any belief around this. The only reason I bring it up is that um, of all the beings on earth that I feel a real closeness to, the cetaceans are up there at the top of the list. I have a very strong suspicion that we're not the most intelligent species on earth. And they may play that role. Although when we look at them and have these SeaWorld images of them going through flaming hoops, we don't see it. And we're looking through the prism of our own beliefs that we're the best, we're the smartest, we're the most intelligent. And so we don't look for any kind of intelligence, superior kind of intelligence in any other life form. I also suspect this of the elephants. I don't know, just a suspicion. I'm not personally open enough yet as a communicator myself to have had direct contact with them. I have heart contact. I swim with the dolphins all the time, not physically, but in my meditations, if you will. And okay, so the reason I brought all that up is because this is a difficult book to read. It tells the story of the beachings, the suicides, and why they are important to the earth, how it is that these beings help hold the balance for the planet, and why they are leaving. And it's one of the hardest things to read, I've ever picked up. And it's only because of the intensity of my love and respect for these beings that I'm reading it. So all of this just to say, I suspect that might have something to do with the heavy emotional tone, being made more consciously aware of their suffering and what's behind it, and the implications of it to the earth. So we watch. Just because we're in a certain state, I no longer feel the need to change my state if it's uncomfortable. I just figure I've got something to learn there, or not. I mean, sometimes it's just a matter almost of waiting it out, you know. Now, I don't know why the camera makes that wall look quite so yellow. It's bright. Oh well, I'm not going to worry with it. Just an image. I just watched a recent Mooji video, rather recent. He was in Tiruvannamaluru, I don't know how to say it, in India. He gives retreats there, silent retreats. And it was about a 45-minute discourse or discussion in a satsang session. In other words, one of the audience came up, you know, and there's a microphone and they have a discussion back and forth. And Mooji was trying to take her from the mind into the fullness of the being. She is someone who has practiced Vipassana. Don't know how to say that very well either. She said for about 15 years. And it was piercing. His vision is piercing. Spirit's vision is piercing. And she saw. And I won't ruin it for you. What I'll do is I'll give you the link with the transcript, and I'll try to remember to put it in the description field with the video too. And I'm adjusting and readjusting inside. So I wanted to come and report on that. I talk about mind. And I talk about how first we need to try to put, no, we don't need to try. First we need to put mind in the passenger seat. And it takes a while to get it buckled in and to behave. And you'll have much more discourse back and forth with it while it's there. At some point, mind will go to the back seat. And it won't overtly disturb you so much. It won't fight you. And you'll have moments, maybe many of them, of quietude, of real silence. And it's a better space to be in, certainly. And watch and observe will take you there. You know, if you can center down, whatever centering is for you, go to the middle of your being somehow. I call it heart. And just be the observer. But you know, that's not the end of it, you see. That's actually a technique. It's funny because I like to say I don't have any routines, I don't have any techniques, I don't have any practices that I do aside from a few prayers that I'm very regular with. But just lost my train of thought. The sun going down is just so beautiful to me. It's just a time to be silent. It's amazing that I'm sitting here recording. Oh well. Is what it is. Things are different. You know, your diet has a lot to do with your state of consciousness. Are you aware of that? I know the bulk of you are. But just in case there are those that haven't yet heard this message, what you eat makes a huge difference in your consciousness, in the body's consciousness, and you experience through the body. Whether you're on a vegetarian diet or a vegan diet, I think those are great. And as we go forward into the new world, the new earth, whatever, the new age, whatever terminology we want to use, don't let the terminology get in your way on stuff, folks. If you can listen to folks from heart, you won't be bothered by their terms, even though they're terms that you might not like to use yourself, you might not appreciate. If you can be in heart and listen, you'll get their meaning. And that's all words are for, is to transfer meaning. We lose that sometimes, you know. When we were psychic, it was different. We didn't have to deal with this, but now we do. Okay. So it's important to know not just about the chemicals and things that may or may not have been used, whether things have been tampered with genetically. These are, you know, these are negatives as far as maintaining a higher consciousness in the body. They don't support that. Another thing that's really important is you can have the most beautiful looking foods, even that are not genetically modified, even that are grown without pesticides and so on. But if the soil is depleted, that's where the plant gets its nutrients, that and the sun and the rain. So I guess it's kind of hard to say, but what I want to say is if you're eating animal flesh, you're taking in the consciousness of the animal, and that's not a bad thing, except the way they're mass produced and grown today. If you're buying your food at big grocery stores or outlets like Walmart, then you're very likely getting your foods from the corporations who've made a business of animal husbandry. And a lot of the animals never get out to walk free. They live in small spaces. They don't have a happy life. And then when they're slaughtered, they're allowed to be terrified and in pain. And that goes into the flesh. That record is there, and you consume it. And so then it has to be processed through your consciousness. Now, I'm a big believer in blessing my food and my water always. And I keep getting it mixed up with Michio Kaku. It's Masaru Emoto has shown us the power of word to change substance. And he worked with water, which is perhaps the most malleable substance of all. Although it's the most powerful too, because witness it carve out things like the Grand Canyon. But the power of your blessing is important. Charge your food with light from your heart. Call for it to be purged, purified, and cleansed, and blessed. And send your blessings to the creatures who died that you could live. Let them receive a real blessing from you. Let there be some balancing action for the harm that's been done to the animals. Of course, when possible, get grain-fed, grass-fed, organic everything. Whenever possible, look for conscious people doing the farming, doing the harvesting, you know, doing all of this. The ones the government is arresting for selling organic food or raw milk. I mean, crazy day and age we live in. I'm ready to start standing up. How about you? There's millions of us. I mean, there's billions of us, but there are millions and tens of millions that are waking up. We're not just a few. And we can stop these things, but it's going to take all of us, you know. So now follow your heart no matter what. Forgive me if I'm passing on a bit of a heavy vibration here. The light comes through, but after all, it's this body, mind, soul complex that it comes through in the speaking. And so maybe I'm weighting it down somewhat here. I don't know. I don't mean to pass on any heaviness to you. We all have difficulties and challenges aplenty. But as we're standing up in our own internal sovereignty, owning our own being, our own consciousness, taking control of that, kicking mind out of the position of power and control that it's been in. It's really been like the Illuminati, you know, in total control, making us chase our tail around sometimes and often. But all of that is shifting now. Thank God. You know, the frequencies, the vibrations are raising everywhere, and it's not imaginary. I mean, you know, we've got the scientists doing the monitoring, showing us that the Schumann resonance is rising, that which was steady for so long that things were built on the fact that it was always, I think it was 7.4 hertz. I'm not real clear on details. I'm not a detail person, so don't trust me for these things. Do the research yourself. But that resonance has risen, and there is global warming on Mars and Jupiter and all of the planets. And so the shift is happening. It's happening right now. I hope you're not one of the ones waiting for 2012 or even for October 28th this month, when, according to Carl Kalaman, the Mayan calendar ends. And it makes so much more sense, you know, from the perspective of the Mayan calendar, that October 28th be the date. But I still say it's an incremental thing. It probably started in the 60s, certainly with harmonic convergence. I mean, we can look back, and the people that follow us later on in the century will be able to look back, and it will just be so obvious that I think many of us will wonder that we didn't see it happening when we're in the midst of it. So, anything else to be said? I feel a calm peace stealing over me. You know, it's a beautiful thing. There in heart, we have this center that's always available, so that no matter how rocky the trek, how rough the waters are, that we're navigating through at any time. I guess maybe heart could be like the boat that we're in. It's always there, it's always safe, it's always faithful, it's always well maintained. And there's such a peace and a comfort there that it surpasses the mind's ability to understand how that can be when maybe everything in your life is screwed, you know, looked at from a surface perspective. That peace can still be there in the midst of whatever heaviness, whatever challenge you have. Know that that peace is still there for you, even a joy. If you tap in, you can even tap into the joy. It's a 24/7 thing. I'm tempted to say it's a property of heart, but those are just words. Find out for yourself. Go within and be blessed. and blessing. We're all blessing the world. Remember, just being is enough. Good day. Okay. I was just going back through, listening to the video to be sure it came out okay. And I realized that I hadn't finished my point about mind. I distracted myself. So, what I was meaning to say was that I realized in the watching of the Mooji video that mind is a much more wily character than I've been allowing for lately. Just the fact that it seems to ride quietly in the back seat doesn't mean it's mastered. As a matter of fact, you can trust that it's not. And awakening I go for, to me, that's a rising in consciousness and in frequency. And it's a natural process that we're all going through. I have problems with the concept of enlightenment. And I've heard others say that if a being is telling you they're enlightened, that's actually evidence that they're not. Well, I want to say something along those lines. I want to say that we have been in mind for so long, it's been eons, that people on earth have been corralled into the mind. And if not eons, it doesn't matter how long it's been. It's certainly been a number of centuries. We can certainly date it from back in the birth of Christ. You can see that people are in the mind. Okay, so we've come to take the mind for the self. We've come to believe that. And it isn't, it may be the hardest thing among our beliefs to get rid of, because it's not just getting rid of a belief, it's making a shift. Once you transcend the mind, once you step out and away from it, and I mean it's no more in the car with you. Of course, you're probably not in the car either at that point, but anyway, once you do that, you're different. It's not a simple belief that you can look at and get rid of it, because mostly what you're doing there is you're working with mind. You're working with all of the efforts of your mind throughout your long life or your many lifetimes, all the things that it's taken on as beliefs. And it's very helpful, and it frees us up a great deal to get rid of these beliefs. But I want to say, if you're convinced that you're awakened or enlightened or anything like that, I'm going to say chances are probably better than 90% that you're not. That's mind. Mind is the ultimate wily character. It will morph and transmogrify, if that's a word. It will do whatever it takes, and it has an amazing bag of tricks to play with us. It will do anything because it's in a life or death struggle. It knows what's up ahead for it. It doesn't know exactly what it is. It just knows for mind it's the end. And you have a great deal of mastery already by the time you've got mind in the back seat. You do. Because mind doesn't take to it lightly. It basically has to be forced. Well, you can do that. You're the being. You're the ultimate. Okay? Mind is something you're, like a telescope you're looking through. It's a tool you're working with. But it seems to take on a life of its own. Probably from all of that programming. I don't know. Now, I'm sharing this with you before I have yet deeply absorbed and whatever it is I do with it, you know. I will, there are, maybe 1,000 Mooji videos out there. Once upon a time, I could get something from all of them. These days, they don't hold my interest, but every now and then there's one in particular that I will listen to again and again. And I'm giving you the link. If you can identify with this in any way, no matter what stage you are on the path, it can unlock the door of your prison to listen in heart and to pretend to be the girl that's up there talking with Mooji. That's easy enough to do. Play whatever mind games you will. We're all one, so you can go at it from that perspective. But I don't suggest that. I suggest being the you that you are. Being in heart and answering the questions he presents. Source has all of us down here. Each of us has walked a unique path. Each of us has been through the refiner's fire. And we mature, some of us before others. And Mooji is a really good example of a tool in the hands of Source that is perfected for the purpose. There's a particular way of being that he is a prince at. And if you can benefit, the connection with Source can be direct. That's what's available to all of us. Let's get rid of the idea that we're not perfect, that we have to go perfect the self or whatever. Mooji is another one that will show you. He's not the only one. There are many. Just like in my recent videos, or older ones even. Wake up right now. It's always possible. The only thing that holds you back is you. And it's mostly ideas and beliefs that get in the way, that you think you're not good enough, you think you're not deserving, you think you're not ready, you think you're not whatever, whatever. It's all BS. It's all mind static. And it can be sidestepped, literally. You don't necessarily have to clean the Aegean stables by yourself. We have tremendous help all around us, by the way. Tremendous spiritual resources that are invisible within and without. And so know that you're supported. This is a loving cosmos. This whole universe, its whole foundation is love. You can't put words to Source. That's not doable. As a matter of fact, very seldom do I even let my mind rest upon Source, lest it come up with some concept or another. The closest, though, if I was going to try to find a word that would resonate with that, the closest I can come is love, with all capital letters. And I find that to be the foundation of the entire creation of all of cosmos. And once we begin knowing that, touching down with that, we begin to see it. It will unfold for you once you take off the blinders, once you get the beliefs that are anti that out of the way. You can begin to see how everything, literally everything, is made of love. Everything, even the dumb things that you think have no consciousness. Everything, being right where it is right now, is an element, is literally an expression of love. And so I hold out to you the empty cup. Become that. Become that so that your vision can be cleared away of all the muck of the ages. And you too can see how literally everything in your life right now, from the typewriter you're using to your spouse to the floor you walk on and the carpet that's on that, everything is a manifestation of love. But you've got to have eyes to see and ears to hear. And you have them. You'll find them within.